My sister marched up to me in the hospital lobby and raised her voice loud enough for the whole ER to hear. Still alone, Abby? Nathan finally did the smartest thing of his life. He left you. Now he has a beautiful son with the woman you called your best friend. She smiled sweetly while our parents stood behind her, silent, not one word of defense. I looked her dead in the eyes and asked, calm as ever, "Is that what she told you?" Meredith thought she'd won. She thought 3 years of quietly destroying my life had finally paid off. She had no idea that in 5 minutes, the man she'd cast as her hero was about to walk through those doors, holding the truth that would burn her whole script down. My name is Abby Carey. I'm 35. I'm the chief nursing officer at Mercy Memorial Hospital in Charlotte. 240 nurses, a $28 million budget, and a family who never once asked what I actually do all day. My mother believes I chose career over marriage. My father believes I was always going to be the difficult one. My sister believes I'm the reason my husband left. 13 months after my divorce, they all thought the story had ended in their favor. Meredith is a top-producing broker with a $920,000 house, a physician husband, 2 kids in private school, and a mother who comments on every one of her girl mom posts. She didn't just win in our family, she won the way someone wins who's been keeping score since she could hold a pencil. I need to take you back to a Thanksgiving in 2013. My grandmother had just died. My father had had a little too much scotch, and in that soft, philosophical voice men in my family use, he said, "You know what makes a family? Endurance. Whichever one of you girls keeps her family together the longest, that's who gets the Raleigh house. All of it. That's how you earn a legacy." I laughed it off as whiskey talk. Meredith didn't. 10 minutes later, in the kitchen, she said quietly, "One of us is going to earn everything, Abby. And it won't be you." I thought she was drunk. She wasn't. That was always the difference between us. She had a memory for sentences. I had a memory for shifts. Small things followed for years. A Christmas card where I was mysteriously cropped out. Introductions engineered a little too casually. In 2018, Nathan and I went through 2 failed IVF cycles. Quiet, private grief we told almost no one. That Thanksgiving, Meredith spread out photos of her 3-month-old daughter on the counter and watched my face while my mother cooed over them. She'd timed it. That was the year my mother started telling people I'd decided I didn't want kids, something I never said. In early 2023, Nathan started using a new word, invisible. Around the same time, Meredith recommended a couples therapist. Family, kind of, she said, named Dr. Colette Ashford. 30 sessions later, Nathan was fluent in phrases like emotional availability and running away into your work. I didn't argue, because in my family, the woman who argues is difficult, and the woman who stays quiet is just broken. By December, I found a hotel receipt in his coat pocket. By March, the divorce was final. His last words to me were, "You've been unavailable for years, Abby." I heard Nathan's voice, but the sentence wasn't his. 13 months later, on a Saturday night in April 2026, I got a text from a number I hadn't seen in over a year. "Nathan, I found something you need to see. About Meredith. About our marriage. Meet me at Mercy Memorial, Tuesday, 10:45. I typed one word back. Yes. That Tuesday, I walked into the lobby and saw them before they saw me. Hollis, my former best friend, holding a baby in a carrier. My mother beside her, uncomfortable. My father staring at his phone. Meredith ending a call. A cardiology follow-up sticker on the carrier told me everything. Hollis had had my husband's baby, and they'd brought him to my hospital. Meredith turned, saw me, and smiled the way someone smiles when the room has finally arranged itself exactly as planned. Then she said it. The line about Nathan finally doing the smartest thing of his life. I asked my one question. She kept twisting the knife anyway, needling me about Owen's father's eyes, about how she didn't want me to feel excluded. My father wouldn't look up. His silence was the same vote it had always been. Then the doors opened. Nathan walked in with a black folder, 3 white labels on the spine. He didn't look at Hollis or my parents, just at me. He nodded, walked past Meredith, and said quietly, I brought what I promised. He held the folder up so my parents could see the header on the top page. Session Notes, Phase 2, Wife Detachment Framing. Meredith paid your therapist, he said. Nobody spoke. Then Meredith laughed, the old delay tactic laugh from childhood. This is absurd. Colette was doing us a favor. I paid, because you two couldn't afford her. My father's glasses slipped down his nose as he read. Then why, he said, in a voice I hadn't heard since his own mother's funeral, does this email say, frame Abby as detached. Nathan is receptive. Meredith had nothing. Nathan closed the folder. There's more. Not here. Not with Owen. Sunday, at your parents' table. For the first time in 12 years, my family was looking at Meredith, not at me. Here's what led to that folder. 2 months earlier, cleaning my mother's guest closet, I'd found a shoebox in Meredith's old room, and inside it, a USB drive labeled M. Do not touch. I took it without really deciding to. The night after the lobby, I finally plugged it in. 4 folders: family, Bradley, business, and one labeled with my husband's name and my initial, like a case file. Inside were 40 documents, session-by-session notes on how to turn Nathan against me, emails between Meredith and Colette laying out a timeline, instructions to plant the word detached. Until Nathan started using it himself, warnings to slow him down so our mother wouldn't get suspicious, and a plan to redirect any conversation about children toward career prioritization. One email stopped my breath completely. Do you have someone in mind for Nathan's post-divorce placement? Meredith's answer. Yes, Hollis Prescott. She's ready. Hollis wasn't a rebound. She was a placement, cast before she'd even officially met him. A search confirmed the rest. Colette Ashford wasn't licensed. She'd never finished her clinical hours, was months behind on rent, and Meredith had paid her thousands to run a script disguised as therapy. When I called her, she picked up on the first ring, already shaking. I've been waiting 3 years for this call, she said, and admitted everything: the coaching, the manufactured word planting, the guilt she'd buried under her cousin's wife's money. I told myself it was too late to stop, she said. I'm sorry. She said you'd never notice. The next day, Nathan sent me a screenshot. A message from Meredith 2 weeks after our divorce. I'll wire the $62,500 tomorrow. Think of it as a bridge loan. Just make sure you're happy with Hollis. That's the interest. My sister had funded my ex-husband's new life and named her own terms for it. That night I opened the last folder on the drive, old family photos, and one voice memo. My father's voice from that Thanksgiving in 2013, preserved word for word. The house, the legacy, the endurance test. My sister hadn't been chasing our father's love. She'd been building a paper trail to inherit a house, and she'd used my marriage as collateral. I built a spreadsheet. 12 years, 12 rows, each one a date, an event, a column marked evidence. Laid out in a grid, it stopped looking like a family and started looking like exactly what it was: a project plan with a beginning, a middle, and an intended end. I'd been the obstacle. Everyone else had been a resource. Then I called my Aunt Vivian, the one relative my family had always called difficult, for the same reasons they called me difficult. She told me she'd suspected for years, Meredith asking, at our grandmother's funeral, who would inherit the house. Overhearing her tell Bradley it would be a 5-year game at minimum, watching Colette defer to Meredith like a handler instead of a therapist. A drunken slip from Bradley, admitting he'd stopped asking what his wife's therapy sessions were really about. Vivian had stayed silent for the same reason we all had: fear of losing what little family she had left. I've been waiting 12 years for someone to bring this into the light, she said. I'll be there Sunday. Sunday dinner. My parents' house. 4 p.m., same as it had been my whole life. I placed the full folder in front of my parents and a summary in front of Meredith and Bradley before the coffee was even poured. There are 3 things you need to see, I said. One is about you, Bradley. Meredith tried every angle. Out of context, a gift, a reframe, but my father was already reading, and my mother, for the first time in 12 years, told her to stop talking so she could finish a sentence. Then the doorbell rang. Nathan. He spoke once. The $62,500 wire, the text about interest, the unlicensed therapist. Bradley stood first. "I've known enough for 18 months and said nothing," he told my parents. "I'm taking the kids to my mother's. I'll be filing paperwork Tuesday." He walked out without looking at his wife. I turned the laptop to my father and played the recording. The Thanksgiving toast, word for word, from 12.5 years ago, filling a silent dining room. My father covered his face with both hands and didn't move for what felt like a full minute. My mother finally looked at me, eyes wet, and said nothing. Because there was nothing to say, I gave her the only 2 sentences I had left. "Mom, you didn't lose me because I got divorced. You lost me because when your daughter decided to end my marriage for a house, you decided the house was worth it." In the weeks after, Bradley filed for divorce and sought custody. Colette confessed to the state licensing board and to a local reporter, then resigned from the real estate job she'd taken. Instead of ever practicing therapy, my mother started seeing her own therapist. "Not for Meredith," she told me. For me. My father wrote me a letter admitting that the drunken toast at that long-ago Thanksgiving had become a weapon in Meredith's hands, and that he'd let it happen because he wanted to believe the best of his oldest daughter and the least of his youngest. Nathan called once more, just to say he finally understood he hadn't left me. He'd left a script someone else had written for him. He's raising Owen now, and he told me he intends the boy to know the truth when he's old enough. At the end of April, the hospital board offered me the position of Chief Operating Officer. I took it. My new office looks out over the same ambulance bay outside the lobby where my sister once told me I'd always be alone. On my first morning there, I bought myself a bunch of white lilies and set them in a jar on my desk. My sister spent 12 years trying to earn a house. My parents spent 30 years trying to build a family that would never disappoint them. I stopped trying to earn any of it the day my sister smirked in that lobby, and my ex-husband walked in holding the truth. I didn't take the house. I didn't need it. I already had what she'd spent 12 years trying to build for herself.